All right. What's up, everyone? This is Isaac with Hunger Smash Fitness. We are here today with several guests, 4 of the teen competitors at the Teen Nationals. And so we are going to be talking about that. We will give them each time. Before we get into that too much, we're going to do a quick mention of John's and my YouTube channels. If I can pull up here. Let me see. All right, here we go. So let's go over. So this is my channel. I honestly have not done very much lately because I've been sick for the last week or so. My whole family had some sort of bug, but these are some of my other videos. What's that?
You're sharing the wrong screen, I think. It's it looks like OBS where it's share within share.
Come on. Technical difficulties.
Yeah, you might just have to open it in another browser, or I can if you like.
There we go. All right, I got it this time.
There it is.
See, there's still this learning curve going on. No matter how long we do it, there's always a learning curve. Yeah, so this is my channel. Honestly, I haven't done a ton with it recently. Yeah, I have more videos in the works, but we'll see where those go. John, anything you want to say about your channel? You've done a couple videos recently.
Yeah, I mean, well, you had Doc McDougal on yours as well. So for those that don't know, we alternate weeks and we share our videos. So you know, whoever you'd like to support, feel free to do that. For those of you who are here and have not liked this stream yet, please go ahead and do so. I know we've already been entertaining in the first few minutes, and go ahead and subscribe to Hunger Smash Fitness and take out that little sticky pad and write down a note to yourself to subscribe to my blog, Strongest Man, when we're all done here. So you do remember to do that. Yeah, so we had Dr. McDougal, Dr. Todd McDougal on the channel last Monday, and he is the strongman chiropractor who puts back all the pieces after strongman competitions and proactively before to give them hope and positive direction going forward. And he was extremely informative. And if you haven't caught that one, again, watch it on Isaac's channel or watch it on mine. Either one, but it was watch it. Whatever you do, watch it. It was extremely informative, and I learned quite a bit about the evolution of chiropractic over time and the direction that Doc McDougal is trying to take it going into the future. So that one was awesome. The latest thing that I uploaded last night, I actually did a live stream last night to talk about Strongman Champions League Finland, which just took place over the weekend. It was a 2-day competition, and honestly, there are a lot of great guys there, but I followed it because Travis Ortmeyer was there. He's a very good friend of the show, as you probably all know. He's been on my channel and Isaac's multiple times and has been very supportive of us. So he teamed up with Jonathan Cotton. So you may know Tyler Cotton. Tyler and Jonathan are both pros. And so John and Travis teamed up, and you should go check out that video, or that now it's a video. It was a live stream when I did it last night for sure. The events were stuff you won't commonly see. Like the whole theme was, it was World's Strongest Team. So everything was either one guy goes and the other one goes sequentially, or at the same time. So there was one where it was an agricultural piece of equipment, Zercher type lift, and one guy on each side, and the bar wasn't fixed. So if you're not lifting with equal force, the bar's bobbling all over the place. They had a vehicle pull where 2 guys are pulling it at the same time in staggered positions from each other, all kinds of cool stuff like that. So if you haven't checked out that live stream I did, go check it out. You'll be very interested to see. And no, I won't tell you who won. Go watch the video. Thanks, Isaac.
Awesome. Yeah, it was... Honestly, it was a great show. If you get a chance to look it up, it was a ton of fun, and the implements were just amazing. So that out of the way, I promised someone that I would make a quick mention of this. So the gym that I train at on the weekends is 360 Fitness in North Idaho in Coeur d'Alene. They have a bunch of strongman implements. So if you're in the Spokane area or Coeur d'Alene area or somewhere in northern Idaho, whatever, 3 or 4 hours away, go check them out. They're an awesome gym. They are hosting an arm lifting World Super Series. I was hoping to go, and it turns out that I actually have other stuff on that day. So it's this Saturday, August 7th at 9 a.m. All of the events are for max weight. So they have a Rolling Thunder. This is a misprint there, I think. So it's a Rolling Thunder, the 2-hand Genie Fat Grip deadlift, and then the Grip Genie Hilt Excalibur style. And then the bonus events that are not included in the Super Series, but they are going in the actual competition, is the Golden Potato Deadlift. And then the BSS Flask, I need to ask him about this, but I think it's the it's like a triangle shaped plate. It's rounded on one side and it's a bit thick, and so you just do a pinch grip and try and pick it up for max weight. All super fun. If you're into grip training type stuff, they're a bunch of fun. And I was really bummed that I'm not going to be able to make it. It looks like it's going to be an awesome event. I love the guys putting it on. If anyone watching this is in the area, definitely go check it out. Doesn't matter, even if you're, we'll get into it in a little bit, but if you're awaiting surgery on your leg, you could probably still do a lot of these events seated and such. So keep that in mind. You don't have to do a lot of the regular lifts. You can do a lot of this other fun stuff as well and just do some grip style events. So anyways, that is about that for there.
Grip is awesome. My good buddy Kosten Sutton, who's Strongman Corp state rep for South Carolina, recently did a grip contest, and they had a gauntlet. It was like 20 different implements, one after another. That was really incredible to watch. And also, while I have the floor, I definitely want to call out, we have another competitor from Strongman Corp Team Nationals in the comments, and Ruben Trevino. Sorry, we couldn't fit you in. We had a 4 guest maximum, but we'll get you in on a future stream for sure. Ruben's 15 and competing as well in Team National. So Ruben, we'll definitely thanks for dropping by. Drop some great comments in here. We'll get them up. Isaac will get them up on the screen for you, and we'll definitely get you on in the future.
Yeah, definitely. So now that we have all of the boring necessity stuff out of the way, we can finally focus on our guest. So what's up, everybody? Let's start talking. So Luke, maybe since you're sitting right next to my screen right here, I guess let's start with you. How did you get into Strongman? What are your interests? What's your strengths? Whatever you want to talk about with that.
Well, so how I started out in Strongman, I started playing football in middle school and got introduced to weightlifting and stuff, and that started middle school, and then I really got into weightlifting freshman year of high school. And I just fell in love with it. Strength has always been just a fascination of mine. Just the title of World's Strongest Man, in my opinion, is the most alpha male title there is. And then I actually was in a restaurant and happened to look at TV, and it was 2016 World's Strongest Man. And I remember it was Brian Shaw and the kettlebell toss. That's how well I remember it. And I was just like, what the heck is that? And I want to be a part of it. So I wound up quitting the football team in order to pursue Strongman. At our local gym, there was no implement, so I just started powerlifting. Did a lot of research on what to do, how to train, and then the situation the world's in right now hit, and I had to move gyms. And the guy who is helping me train, we met there, and he saw me deadlifting, and which I already had Strongman in the back of my head. I actually didn't know there was a teen division at that time, so I thought, I have to be an adult to compete. And he told me there's a competition in January called the Mammoth, and he thought I should compete in it, and wound up joining them, and thankfully it went well. I was wound up being the only team competing at that in the men's division, so I got bumped up to novice heavyweight and placed 3rd out of 10, which got me the national spot. So it was definitely it was a fun journey.
So I was going to bring up Mammoth because I did quite a lot to promote Mammoth. I was working together with David Waters, the promoter, and John Greaves III, who did the live stream through Garage Gym Life Media. That was an incredible show. So are you saying you were heavyweight novice, like with Matt McDougall, like competing in that division?
Matt McDougall, I think, won the Open.
Okay.
Yeah, he won the Open.
Yeah, Matt's been on the channel as well. Really great guy, really strong guy.
Strong guy.
Yeah. But that's awesome. Yeah, what did you think of the Mammoth show overall? Give us your impressions, because there was a lot going on that day.
For my first competition, I was really impressed, especially with, everything with the whole situation. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how different it would be from a normal competition. But given I could not ask to compete against a great group of guys. I mean, they were supportive. They knew it was my first competition, and they knew I was a teen, so they were really supportive. Even the ones that I wound up beating, they were still very supportive. So I was very thankful for them, and that just gave me the bite, I guess you could say, to just compete more. So just a great competition.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the story in strongman overall, right? Everybody is much more supportive of each other, even when you're competitors, than just about any other sport. Gabby, maybe you could talk about that because you do Olympic weightlifting as well. How do they compare?
I definitely I've competed in a lot of sports, and I think that strongman by far has the most supportive group of people ever. Like, I went to OSG, I was 17 competing against grown women, and I broke down on the middle of the floor, broke down sobbing, and I just had all of these ginormous women who were all like 6'3", and they all just mama beared me. And oh, they're so amazing. We're all still in contact. It's definitely the most supportive group of people I've ever met with or competed with.
Yeah, and Gabby, you're a 3-time consecutive champ, aren't you? National champ.
Yeah. Yep. This will be my what is this? My fourth and final teen nationals. So hopefully it'll be my fourth national title.
Only because you won't be a teenager anymore, not because you'll stop winning.
Right. Correct. Yes.
Nice. Yeah. So, I mean, for those of you who have watched any of my interviews before, Isaac has his own style, but my question, and we'll go back to you, Luke, for a second, as I just asked Gabby, I always ask people, brag about your accomplishments. You have a world record in silver dollar deadlift, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I do. It was, the competition was held by the World, I think it's Deadlifting Council. I think that's what the C stands for. It was a championship, competition they were holding, and a guy that me and him follow each other on Instagram, he let me know about the competition because he knew I was really good at that event. So I sent my lift in, and thankfully it wound up winning the competition and also breaking the world record. So it was 765, I think.
That's amazing. Fantastic. And speaking of records, Vince, I think, don't you have a state record as well? Or two?
I believe I've got a world record strict curl and a couple of I've got a USS American record 18-inch deadlift. I don't know, man. I've got a couple things over the last year. So
strict curl is getting a lot of notoriety these days.
Yeah.
You gonna go for the world record there?
I have like an age and weight class world record. I'll probably leave it at that. I just wanted to do it to have a good time. So me and my dad drove up to Pennsylvania one day, and I entered a meet and ended up strict curling I believe it was a 100% raw world record. So I was happy with that.
Wow, that's awesome. So any thoughts about any of the guys we're seeing on YouTube, Larry Wheels or Saplenkov, or who's going to break that strict curl record?
Insane. I think, I don't know that Larry Wheels will get there. Saplenkov's, I believe he holds the record, the all-time record right now. I couldn't see him stopping anytime soon. So it wasn't a lift I gave a lot of time to. I just kind of fit it in, and then I had the opportunity one day, and we kind of Googled the record, and I saw I had it in reach, so we drove up to Pennsylvania, and I just figured, if it's there. But I would, maybe like to devote a little bit more time to it. I've never been a fan of training my arms, which is something I definitely need to do more. So it gave me an incentive to do that for a couple weeks, and I had a pretty good time with it. Awesome.
And then Sophia, your Instagram is primarily powerlifting, but I saw you throwing some sandbags around. Is strongman kind of new for you? Talk us through that evolution.
Yeah, so I actually started out powerlifting a few months ago, back when everything started with what's going on in the world. And my brother was building a gym in the garage, and he told me, come out and lift. It'll be good for softball. So I came out, did a lift, and I enjoyed myself. So I kept coming back, and I fell in love with the sport. And so a few months later, we went to a powerlifting meet, and I did a lot better than I thought I would. And I just kept coming back. So I came out another day into the garage, and he was doing sandbag or something, sandbag carries. And he told me, you're built a lot better for a strongman. Why don't you come carry some sandbags around or do frames? So we did that. I started training for my first competition, and my first competition was actually a women's novice. And I set a lot of PRs, did a lot better than I thought I was going to do. And again, I've found an amazing support group. Everybody was super supportive with it, and I fell in love with that community. It was amazing.
Absolutely. So Isaac, I don't want to take this over. I just wanted to make sure and get everybody a chance, but you take over, buddy. You want to go to the comments, or do you have some other agenda items?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I was going to say there's a couple people in the comments here that I wanted to go to. Where was it? Yeah, so World Strongest Blacksmith, he says, is the anvil horn a staple at arm lifting comps? And honestly, I don't know. I don't know enough about arm lifting competitions. This one that I talked about was the first one that I've ever actually looked into. So have any of you actually ever done an arm lifting competition before? No? Okay. So Tyler, the answer is I have no clue, but I can look it up. I can talk to Dave about it and see, because he's the one who's hosting it. And I can definitely ask him. And then Trevor Brown says, that's my brother. Proud of you, Luke. So I'm assuming that's Luke's brother. So
unfortunately, I'm just kidding.
Unfortunately. Older or younger brother?
Older. I'm the youngest out of three. He's 7
years
than I am. Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, if it's your older brother, then yeah, it's probably unfortunately. But
that's awesome, Trevor. I have little kids. I hope they grow up to be as supportive as you. Good job, Trevor.
And then Allie says, that's my bestie. Love you, Gabby. Amazing. So, and then Emma Nelson, go Sophie and Vince. Awesome. So it looks like we're caught up on the comments for now. So Luke, I wanted to ask you too, when you went to Mammoth, had you actually trained any of those implements before you went, or was that your first time attempting some of those implements?
So the guy I met at the gym I currently train at, he actually had some implements of his own, like he had a log and an axle and a sandbag. And that's luckily one of the three of the things that was in the competition. Well, sandbag wasn't, but log and axle was. I trained that. Of course, deadlift was in there. So I had a little bit of experience, not a lot of experience, but I had some.
Had you done stones or like a loading medley or anything like that before, or was that your first time?
That was my first time ever doing those. First time I ever tried those.
Stones are my favorite, if you watch my Instagram at all.
Oh, yeah.
I know. Yeah, I love stones. I haven't been able to play with them as much as I'd like, but honestly, I love odd implements over bar implements. For me, it's just, I don't know. There's so much more fun. I feel like there's more technique, I guess, or more like brute strength, basically. I feel like with bar lifts, you can kind of cheat it a little bit differently. Whereas when you're picking up an Atlas stone, you either have the strength to lift it or you don't. Like there's not really much in between on that. But yeah, so Luke, I guess while we're still kind of talking to you, because you just tweaked your knee not that long ago. You want to update us more on what the latest is with that, what you're doing in the meantime, and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, so I actually went to the orthopedic doctor today. Right now, we're still in the unknown. Kind of have an idea of possibly what happened. They think it's a possible tear. I've heard ACL. I've heard other things. But I get an MRI Thursday, so hopefully we'll get the best case scenario then. But until then, I'm just trying to take it easy on the knee, not trying to hurt it anymore, and just staying hopeful. and staying positive. So,
do they have you in like a walking brace or something like that for it in the meantime, or okay? Yeah. So you don't have any sort of timeline or anything like that at the time. You're still waiting for the imaging at this time.
Not no timeline yet.
Okay. So is this? I guess that brings me into the next one. Is this your first injury that you've had related to lifting?
Oh no, no, I'm injury prone. I've had quite a few. Actually, my most recent, well, before this, I had strained some tendons and ligaments in my hand and wrist doing the same lift that hurt my knee on, which was axle clean and press. And then which in football, I had a bunch of just tweaks here and there. Dislocated my shoulder and chipped a bone in there freshman year. Had surgery on that. So, yeah, this is definitely not my first go around with an injury. That's for sure.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like you have the correct mentality for coming back from it and continuing to move forward. So, Gabby, what about you? I don't remember if you've had injuries or anything like that in the past.
I've actually stayed pretty injury free. I mean, I have the typical tendonitis in my knee and elbow, but really outside of that, I haven't. I do a lot of preventative work to make sure that I don't, just because I really don't want to be, in my 50s in a wheelchair, because I want to be able to walk slow.
But then you can do wheelchair races with the other people in their wheelchairs, there's advantages.
True.
Yeah, so another thing we do on our channels during sessions like this is we talk about some cool posts that you have. And Gabby, you had a few months back a car walk. It looked like prep for OSG, a 720 car walk. Tell us more about that. That looked really cool.
Oh my gosh, that was so awesome. So we ended up volunteering at Clash on the Coast, and Lynn Morehouse, he's a guy who puts on OSG. He's family friends with us already, and he was there, and he brought the truck down because he knew a lot of people who were going to be competing at OSG were going to be at Clash on the Coast. So he brought that down, and we all got to touch it. It was so awesome. I lifted it. It was really heavy, but it was awesome. It felt really cool. And Trey Mitchell watched me pick it, and he was impressed by me. And I'm not gonna lie, I think that was the highlight of my entire strongman career was Trey Mitchell being impressed by me and then following me on Instagram. That was oh my gosh, it was awesome.
Trey's a beast, and he's also a humble guy. You'll find him on Facebook groups that all of us are on. He's a very, very giving guy in that way. But yeah, so I was going to tell you, Gabby, you can kind of consider yourself a pro now because you were at Clash and I paid to watch it. So therefore I paid to watch you. So you're a pro.
Hey, you got to watch me on the sidelines, taking notes, writing the times. I'm a pro.
You wrote notes like nobody's business. Yeah, Clash was awesome. That was it was quite a competition to watch. Watching all those events in the sand. We've had some of the guys on. So we had Andrew Mock on. We had Tyler Young on. Who else have we talked to? Isaac from Clash on the Coast. I mean, I've been in contact with Johnny Waz on DM. But obviously Anthony San Lorenzo, a good friend of the show. We've been speaking with him. But yeah, I tried to get their opinions on how was it like to do those events in the sand, and some of them loved it, and some of them were yeah, it was hard.
Yeah, volunteering and having to move the implements in the sand was awful. I left that competition, first of all, 10 shades darker than I arrived because I was out in the sun all day. But I was sore because my calves and my quads were sore from trying to walk in the sand. And I wasn't even necessarily one of the heavy lifting people. I was just walking around helping with little bits and pieces. I don't know how somebody could enjoy lifting in the sand because that was such a pain in the butt.
Yeah, I mean, so just walking with that fire hydrant in the sand is enough, but a whole loading medley of, 5 implements? It was crazy.
Yeah, it was insane. Really impressive.
They were doing keg toss in this. I mean, it looked beautiful, but it must have been really, really difficult. But on kind of the theme of injuries, Vince, you have kind of a long lingering injury as well, don't you? And like, I don't know, is it going to keep you out of competition this time around, or how's that going?
So yeah, I got injured. I did 3 competitions back to back to back. I'm in love with competing in the sport, so I just signed up figuring that I would have a good time, and I did. And I definitely outdid my expectations. And then somewhere in the middle there, just deadlifting had a pop in my hip, and here we are. But I work with a really great coach and a lot of really great people. They've been helping me through it. At first, I was a little bit kind of down on my luck and a little bit upset with my circumstance. And I'm really loving training right now. So everything's a lot lighter than it has been in the past. But I'm just enjoying the process and kind of getting back to where I feel comfortable competing. I'm sure that I could push for Teen Nationals if I needed to. But I'm going to sit this one out and let Sophie take over and, hopefully show them what our family's about. So.
Yeah, live to fight another day. Speaking of that, Sophie, are you, so in my day job in the software world, we call this lessons learned. Do you watch what your brother went through and know how to avoid injury for yourself?
Yeah, I'm definitely staying careful. I'm in love with training and I'm in love with competing, but I'm definitely not going to do the 3 competitions in a row.
Yeah, we learned from that one.
Yeah, I mean, I always ask people because I'm just a guy who works out in my garage from time to time and goes out in the woods and lifts rocks from time to time. But what do you two consider proper warm-ups for pick an event, deadlift, let's say, whatever your favorite event is? What would you say is your proper warm-up for that particular event?
So I say, at least for me, I used to be a big static stretch guy, and I never had luck with it. And then the coach I work with now, actually, one of the most helpful things he ever told me, and unfortunately this was post-injury, but for me now, the best warm-up for deadlifting is just deadlifting. So I'll walk right into a gym and I'll put, super lightweight on the bar, 135, 225, and just reps and reps and reps, just to get my body heated up and ready to go. And then when I feel like I've drilled that muscle pattern enough, and I've got all my fast twitch muscles firing, then I'm ready to up the weight and keep going. So I just like warming up with whatever. And I think she does too. She's built of steel, man. It wouldn't matter. She's pretty injury proof, actually, knock on wood. So
nice. Sophie, is that true?
I would hope so. Like you said, knock on wood. I really don't want anything coming, but yeah, I think like you said, I'm not a big stretching person. It never really worked for me, and I never really was good about it anyways, but I definitely do like deadlifting to warm up because it's just good to get the motion in your head and know what you're doing, lock in your walk through what you're going to do. I think it's better to do the motion to warm up instead of stretching.
Yeah, I mean, I've asked this question of Travis Ortmeyer, like everybody that I've interviewed pretty much, and I'm trying to remember if it was Jamie Wilson, Brownsville Brute, who said, like, I warm up till I'm actually feel warm, like hot, and then I know I'm warmed up.
Yeah, that is kind of how we operate around here. We're training out in about, I'd say about 90-degree heat right now, yep. So it doesn't take much. But for us, it's just drilling that muscle pattern and obviously learning from mistakes. If I had to be the one to do it, then so be it. And I think as long as our outlook stays positive and we're doing the right things, we're staying pretty safe. So.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. Isaac, jump in whenever you like, buddy.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, because coming at this from a physical therapy standpoint, so actually, I'm a licensed physical therapy assistant, so I actually went to school for a lot of it and all that sort of thing. And so there's 2 primary types of stretching that you can do. So there's static stretching and dynamic stretching. And static is where you're holding the stretch for a set amount of time. And it's really good for lengthening the muscle. So if you lack mobility or something like that, it's a great way to increase the muscle length, basically. But as far as pre-workout, dynamic stretching is much more beneficial, and that's literally just taking whatever limb you're about to use and moving it through a range of motion repeatedly to get the muscles to start to fire up. And there's been a lot of different studies that have been done pre and post workout and all that sort of stuff, and it looks like pre-workout you always want to do dynamic stretching, just get that movement, that mobility, and get the muscles warm, literally. And then post post workout is if you're going to do some stretching, some static stretching, that would be the time to do it when everything is already warm and a little bit more mobile, basically. Then you can do your static stretching at the end. But yeah, so just to kind of hop in on the tail end of that, all the research and everything that I've read and everything that I tell people is usually along those lines. But yeah, so I guess, Gabby, what are you currently doing to prepare for nationals and all that sort of stuff? You don't have to give all your trade secrets away, but what are you doing to train, I guess?
So after March, it's been a little bit of a kind of difficult working out just because of life. I mean, it hit me really, really hard, and it was really hard to get everything kind of on track. But in June, I moved into my apartment in my university's town. So I'm down here pretty much full time, which means we had to shut down the gym at my house. So right now I'm pretty much primarily Olympic lifting training, just because, well, I do have a sponsorship from a gym in Gainesville. I'm a little uncomfortable working out there just because it's with like a group of people I don't know, and they're not necessarily the most welcoming. And so I have a little bit of anxiety going in there. So mostly my coach, my Olympic lifting coach, he has me on really, really heavy Olympic lifting stuff. My body tells me that every day when I leave practice. And then once a week, on a good week, I go back up to Jacksonville and do some log. Mostly that's what I've been doing. So it's just a lot of strength work, because that's pretty much what's benefited me up to this point, is sticking to my normal stuff and then going to a competition with very little ideas to what I'm doing and, doing well.
Nice. Yeah, and we don't have to get into March, but, we continue to support you and anything you need.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I appreciate that. It's, it happened. Everybody knows about it. It's all right. It happened. We're working through it. I had an amazing community behind me. I still have that amazing community behind me, and they'll be there for the rest of my life. So it really was a huge display of love, and it was awesome. I mean, not awesome, but it was.
Yeah, under the circumstances, as good as it could be. So, we're Olympic time right now. What do you think in 2024? You're going to go try to compete in Olympics?
24, no, 28 is my goal, because first of all, it's in LA, so it's in the US. I'm not quite ready for 24. I just didn't have enough. That's only 3 years away. I don't have enough time. That's not enough time for me to be ready. But 28 is an honest goal of mine. My coach and I have discussed it, and so long as I continue to progress the way that I have been, he thinks that I have a pretty good chance. And he's not just blowing smoke up my behind. He and I really have sat down and talked about it. And there's a chance, obviously if somebody comes out and beats me, they're strong. There's no way about that. But the goal is 28. So
well, you got me excited. I'm glad I asked.
I'll definitely be watching. Yeah, that's exciting. So what about you, Sophia? What are you doing to prepare for nationals and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, so I've just been training static strength for the past 2 months, like working on getting my strength up, working on technique, and now that we're down to like the last couple weeks left, we're really drilling like specifics of every movement and making sure everything's down and ready to go. Just so I'm ready as soon as I get into those movements, I know exactly what I'm doing, and it'll be quick and smooth.
Do you know what I don't remember what the events are for you guys.
It's axle, a dead sled carry, sandbag carry, throwing, and a max deadlift.
How do you like the sled?
I actually had one of those. I don't mind it. I had one of those at my first meet, and I think that's actually one of my better events, because I'm pretty quick on my feet.
Nice.
Pick up the implement and then just go. So I'm pretty excited for that. I think the one that I'm more worried about is sandbag. I'm having a lot of trouble like keeping it gripped on my chest, but if I can get it up, I can walk for as long as I can.
Nice. Is it for time, distance, or
The sandbag is for
how?
distance, and then the frame is for time.
Okay.
You should pick
Nice.
Isaac's brain. He's been known to be pretty good with Sandbag.
Yeah. I sandbags, stones, all those weird, funny things. Those are my favorite things. I have a 330-pound sandbag in the gym that I go to during the week. And it sits in the corner. Every time I go and see it, it's exactly where I put it, and then I'll take it out and I'll play with it, and I'll do some floor press or whatever else with it, and then put it back, and it never moves. It always sits exactly there. So I was like, everybody else has the ability to play with it if they want to, and no one ever does. So
We've got 30. I think I might have only picked it up maybe once or twice.
yeah,
So
it's the only sandbag that I have, and 330 is right at that point where it's like it's a little on the heavy side for everyday use. I probably should have done, like a 280 or somewhere in there. But it's fun, and it's such a satisfying feeling when you're able to grab it and actually like run some laps with it or something, and then you drop it and it just thuds to the ground, and you're like, all right, cool. That was heavy.
So segueing Sandbag back into Mammoth, Luke, were you there to watch that Sandbag record breaker that they had, where Wes Claiborne attempted and then Trey showed up to attempt it as well?
Yeah, that was. I think was it 500-pound sandbag?
So I was going to ask you about that because it was 500 pounds, and I had some sort of feelings when I heard that's what it was going to be before the competition. What do you think? What do you think about making 500 pounds an opening weight?
That would. Oh gosh, I can't even fathom a 400-pound sandbag. So I mean, that's 500-pound. That's just wow. I couldn't imagine picking it up.
So I just, clearly I've never picked up a 500-pound sandbag, but the way that I equate it is if you've ever watched Strongest Man in History, where they had Robert Oberst, Eddie Hall, Brian Shaw, and Nick Best. They did one episode where they went to this bar and they were trying to recreate, some old feat of strength where they would pick up the sandbag and walk around the bar with it.
Yeah.
And so they attempted 400, and if I remember correctly, it was Nick and Robert Oberst were the only two to do it. Brian bowed out because he was injured.
Yeah.
And I think Eddie didn't do it.
Yeah.
So, and that was 400. This is 500.
Yeah. And I remember they stood it up. They tried picking it up side to side at first, couldn't do that, so they stood it up and then bear hugged it basically. And to me, that I would think now with the 250, I prefer side to side because I just think if you do it long ways, the whole shifting of the sand just too complicated. But with that wide of a sandbag, I would think I could see where the whole bear hugging it would work.
Yeah, and I think
the only problem is if you grab it too far down at all, it's going to fall over the top,
Yeah.
What they did,
it's not going to be an easy lift.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, what they did at Mammoth to try to keep the bag from getting too big is they mixed in, I think, lead shot or something. Like they'd put in something more dense with the sand so it wouldn't be just totally too huge to pick up. Yeah. And I think Wes Claiborne, if I remember correctly, lapped it, which was crazy.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a dude that doesn't get enough notoriety, in my opinion. Like, I think he should be showing up at Worlds. He should be getting invites to Worlds. Maybe he needs to be a little more vocal, like an Oberst type character. Like, not that Robert doesn't deserve it, but I mean, when you speak up, you get noticed. It's as simple as that.
Him and Marcus Crowder. I think Marcus Crowder. I mean, my gosh, I've never static strength, especially pressing. Wow.
Yeah, I've interviewed Marcus. I interviewed him right after Mammoth, actually. What a great guy, too. He was awesome. He basically just got off his flight and got on and did an interview with me. Nice guy and super strong. He was great at Mammoth. Did very well.
Yeah.
So we have a couple more comments here that we can go through real quick as well. So Rebecca says, we're so proud of you, Vinny and Sophie. So I'm assuming that's a friend or relation of Vince and Sophia. That is?
Yeah.
And then Noah Haglin says, Gabby, so proud of you. Didn't know that you were a national champ. You don't go around telling everybody, Gabby. You got things to brag about.
I feel like I probably say it a lot, so I don't know. Maybe I just missed it. Who knows?
Yeah.
You have to perform it like a wrestler. You have to say it three times. I'm the three-time national champ.
While waving your trophies overhead and get all your.
I totally had a conversation a few nights ago about being a WWE wrestler.
Did you really?
Is that after the Olympics or?
Who knows? It might just be I'm going to be a teacher during the day and a WWE wrestler at night.
That's the second time, probably the third time wrestling came up in a Strongman interview. If you get a chance, go back and look up on my channel my interview with Jules Mansfield. We ended up talking about pro wrestling there as well.
So on the note of trophies and such, what's the coolest award or trophy that any of you have won? I mean, because you always see the little plaques or the little medals or anything like that. What are some of the coolest ones that you guys have won?
I'm gonna go first. My absolute most favorite trophy I've ever gotten was I went to a local competition in Ohio because my dad's buddy's son was putting on the show, and first place got a life-size Spartan helmet that actually fits on my head. That is like the cool. It was handcrafted by one of the competitors. He made all of them for the first place people and donated them. It was so awesome. Oh my gosh.
Must have been a ton of work that went into making each one of those.
No doubt.
What about you, Luke? You got any cool prizes or awards or anything?
Well, as far as trophy goes, I only have the mammoth one, and then I have a world championship and world record certificate from the WDC. I would say those are probably, and also a big gold medal from them too. So I would say those are my proudest ones.
You should have asked them to actually give you all of the silver dollars.
Oh.
What about you, Vincent Sophia?
I'll let her speak first. I can go grab a couple of mine. I've got them in here.
Hell yeah, let's take a look.
I haven't had that many competitions, so I don't have that many, but I think mine right now is probably from one of my powerlifting ones. I have a huge best lifters medal. That was for my first meet, so I'm pretty proud of that one.
I've got a sword that I won in my first contest that I actually got tattooed on me. And then I've got Shannon Willett's award for top athlete that I won in Florida. Kind of speaks for itself. I've got that
nice
squat rack. So I've got a couple of cool pieces of hardware, and my world record certificate I've got framed. So that those are probably mine.
Isaac, this guy's like the master of the segue over here. We got to get him as a co-host.
I'm down. Let's do it. Can we do 3 hosts on this?
Yeah, man. Next time Isaac gets sick, I'm calling you, Vince.
For sure, man. I'm down.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I've just gotten like a couple little medals and stuff like that at the competition that I just I was a spotter loader at, which Gabby talked about that. Like, I think being a spotter load competition is a lot harder than being an athlete because you end up doing, the weight, whatever, for multiple trips. And I felt way more beat up after helping than actually competing. But they were giving all of their first and second place winners. They had these handcrafted like Thor's hammers that they wrapped the handle in and everything. And then they made these. So first place was like a Thor's hammer, and second place was like a mace with these little like spikes and stuff on it. And like they looked super, super awesome. I was like, I kind of wish I would have competed just because I wanted to take one of those home with me, but oh well. And then in the comments here, we have Tyler saying Claiborne is a beast. If memory serves, he did a 450 to shoulder once. That's pretty.
That's
Oh,
crazy.
did I just drop out there for a second?
Yeah, you dropped out for a sec. World's Strongest Blacksmith.
Man.
That's our buddy Tyler in the audience. So, Tyler, you know, it'd be cool. Have you ever made trophies for strongman events? Tyler's a talented blacksmith. I would be awesome to see something that Tyler could make as a trophy or award. So I don't know if Tyler, if you've ever done that, but that'd be pretty cool.
If you go over to his channel, he's actually doing some videos about making. Tyler, was it a Scottish claymore that you're making right now or something like that? He's been putting up some videos about that on his YouTube channel, and he's handcrafting this pretty sick looking sword. So maybe we can convince him to put that up as a trophy.
Yeah, he's actually doing them in a multi-part series of live streams, so you get to watch it like from beginning to end. So that would be, you know, definitely would recommend that. It'll be really cool. And Isaac, you're either frozen or really thinking hard right now.
I'm never thinking hard. What are you talking about? So, no, that's only during physics class. Then I'm sitting there frozen and thinking hard. But
there you go. Well, you're back now anyway.
Yeah, it's my stupid Wi-Fi. I don't know. It's horrible. And especially in the evenings, it drops a lot more because I think everybody gets home from work and they want to play Xbox or something. And then Yote or Taa Yote, I'm not sure. But he says, Big Luke. And then World Strongest Blacksmith says he hasn't made any trophies, but he would give my hand at it. Nice. So, well, what's next? Any other big topics you want to talk about, John?
I was just wondering what everybody's favorite strongman event is. Whoever would like to go first.
Well, I like Atlas stones, but I'm not one of the guests. So
I like natural stones and I like circus dumbbell. And then we'll do like I do at work when my team members don't answer me. Vince, would you like to go next?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a hard one. I was thinking on it. I honestly couldn't tell you, man. It would depend on when you asked me. I think right now, just because my hips kind of bummy, log. I sucked at overhead for a really long time. I was never a real strong kid. And overhead was always really weak for me. And then when I started training, it shot up. And then when I started training with this coach, it really started going up. So log is something I really enjoy. But depends on when you ask me. I love it all. So.
Yeah, I think mine is definitely Atlas stones. I think that was one of my worst events to start with. I couldn't even pick up. We made this rock, a stone we call the pebble, because all the rest of the stones in our garage are over 200, and this one to start for me was 120. And he was like, "No, you'll be able to pick it up. It'll be all right." And I couldn't even lap that to start with. But I think one of my favorite things about any strength sport is just seeing progress, and I love Atlas stones. It's just one of my favorites now.
Awesome. That makes two of my guests now. Donna Moore loves Atlas stones too.
Donna Moore has an amazing reason why she loves Atlas stones, though, because she's like one of the best in the world at, well, kind of everything, I guess. But
yeah, she still has the record for Atlas stones, I believe. Jessica Fithen was getting pretty close, though. And I mentioned that to her, and she's like 39 pounds off or whatever it was. She's like, that's an eternity. It's not as close as you think it is.
What about you, Gabby? What's your favorite event?
Probably anything moving, just because statically I'm not super strong, but like, I love carrying things. Like the sandbag, I'm super looking forward to that. And Yolk, I love Yolk. I just like the moving events. Anything that I can be fast at, I'm probably going to do pretty well at.
Gabby, you have any technique tips for Yolk?
Yeah, start your feet out slow, and do little steps, and then you speed up as your stride gets a little bit wider. And you always go heel toe, heel toe. You never do like weird steps. And just try to make sure your pick is even, because it definitely sucks if it's uneven and you're wobbling with it. So yeah.
Good tips.
Gabby, do you prefer the high pick or a low pick? So do you prefer like just an inch of clearance or something off the ground, or do you prefer like 4 inches of clearance off the ground?
I definitely think there's a sweet spot. You don't want to be too low, but also if you're too high, you're basically back squatting it. So I definitely think probably like 3 or 4 inches is about perfect for me, in my opinion. Just because if you do end up having a little bit of an imperfect pick and it's a little wobbly, you have a little bit of leeway, so it's not crashing into the ground. So, yeah.
And Luke, what's your favorite event and why?
I would say axle clean and press, like anything overhead. I like overhead because it took a while to get, I guess, good compared to, I guess, teens. I don't know, but it took a while to get, at least in my mind, good at. But yeah, I would probably say axle.
Nice. Yeah, I like overhead the best too, even though I'm not good at it.
Yeah, it took a while. I'm at a regular bar. I'm at 340 overhead press. But.
Wow, that's amazing. That's a big overhead press. We got to get you into the forest with me, see what kind of stones you could put overhead.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I always think of it as, this is probably a narrow-minded thought process, but like I always think of it as a deadlift is like, okay, I can barely get something off the ground. Overhead press is like, I really lifted this thing. Like whatever the weight is, like I've proven not only can I budge it, but I got it all the way up over my head, and that's real strength to me. Maybe a narrow-minded point of view, but that's kind of the way I see it.
I agree. I have that same mindset too. I think, yeah, oh, yeah.
And then the next thing I was really thinking about was, did any of you watch any particular strength athletes growing up that you really modeled yourselves after? I mean, you're younger, so you wouldn't remember guys like Magnus Samuelson or whatever, but like, were there, strong men, strong women that you watched kind of as you were coming up and said, I want to model my technique after this person, or they're a role model for whatever reason?
I would say mine would be Brian Shaw. Like I mentioned earlier, that is my earliest memory of anything strongman. Him, 2016 kettlebell toss. He actually dominated that one. Just went through the first 4 like it was nothing. Ever since that, found him on YouTube and have just been studying him to the T. Just everything he does, I try to take away from him the best I can.
Did you see what he did with keg toss at World's Strongest Man this year?
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Amazing.
He went in with the record. I believe 3 guys, no, including him, maybe 4 guys broke the record. It was Janasha, Brian Shaw, Maxime, and Isaac. Who else was it? I think it was 4 guys who broke it. And then they went to the next highest weight, and Brian had to break it again to regain his record. And he's just... Those kegs are no match for him. Like he has an extra piece of his technique that the others don't have. I get it, but he's also incredibly strong.
I think it was Tom Stoltman. I think I might be wrong though.
That's who it was. You're right.
That's what I was gonna say. I think it was Tom. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see, because I've made this comment before. At the Shaw Classic this year, he's having Sandbag instead of keg, and I think the kind of floppiness in the handle of the Sandbag takes away that advantage he has with the keg technique, where he goes up an extra time before he comes down. So kudos to him. He's making it an event that's more equal for everybody. So we'll see if he still dominates. And he probably still will, but that'll be again, kudos to him for not making the event something I know I'm going to kill at,
That's one thing that I really respect about him, because neither the first Shaw Classic and this year, neither one has been tailored for Brian. He's been good about picking events that he's pretty good at pretty much everything. Like he doesn't have an event that he's really horrible at. But he's been good at picking events where it's a fairly level playing field. So I think he's been doing a good job with that.
Yeah,
Are any of you planning on watching it, or maybe?
I definitely keep up with stuff like on social media. I don't really know how to like work streaming platforms when it comes to live events or anything. So I definitely like that's what I've been doing with the Olympics is I've just been after it's done, I go back and check on how everybody's done, especially with weightlifting. So yeah, so it's probably what I'll do, you know. After it's done, I'll go through and scroll through everybody's Instagrams.
Gabby gets all her strongman news from my blog, Strongest Man.
Absolutely.
Well, I think he's going to do it the same way that he did it last year, where you get a membership to the Shaw Elite Club, which it's like $8.99 a month or something like that, and you can get it for 1 month and then cancel it at the end or whatever.
Yep.
And then they film everything one day, and then it'll be on the club the next day. Then, so if you bought the membership, then you can watch it, and if not, then you just have to wait until it goes to the public.
Yeah, it should be awesome. He got a really big space. I think it's a 25,000 square foot space this time. He's having a giant apparatus built that will accommodate for multiple events. He actually did a behind the scenes, Isaac. I don't know if you saw it, but he was showing the fabrication of some of it, which I thought was really cool that he kind of did that behind the scenes viewpoint into what was happening there. But it should be awesome. Like one of the medleys is crazy. It was like it ends in an arm over arm pull, but like the beginning of the medley has nothing to do with that type of movement. I forgot what it was. It looks like it's going to be pretty hard.
It looks like it's going to suck, but it's going to be really fun to watch. So, and especially because they're at altitude. So last year that only got there a couple days before. And I know like most of my wife's family lives out there. And when you go from sea level to a mile high, there's a big difference. You get gassed really quickly. And so I wonder if they're going to make sure everybody's out there like 10 days early or something to make sure that they can accommodate or acclimate or whatever you want to call it.
My big question, though, is this. This is what I'm wondering more than anything else. Since the Stoltmans can't make it this year because their sister's getting married, who in the heck is Novikov going to go elk hunting with?
That was entertaining to watch last time. Watch them running through the woods, chasing elk up in the mountains. A bunch of 300-something pound strong dudes just chasing deer in the woods. What a bunch of kids. Looks like fun. So here's another question we like to ask people once in a while. In your opinion, who are the 3 greatest strongmen of all time?
And since we have ladies on the stream, strong women.
Did
as
I freeze
well,
or
let's do both?
Strong women. There you go.
I'd go ahead and say for me, Kaz and Big Z are probably my top 2, and then from there it's a toss up. I think Brian Shaw's got to be top 3, but there's so many guys you can put up there. I mean, Magnus for Magnuson is another one that like I remember going back and watching. I've seen probably everything he's competed in, and I'm kind of a self-proclaimed super fan. So for me, it's really hard to narrow down, but definitely Big Z is probably the GOAT for me, and then Kaz has also got to be up there.
So, Isaac, do we have some kind of prize for Vince picking my exact top 3? A little bit different order, but I got Kaz, Brian.
I was just gonna say, like,
yeah, I got Big Z, Brian Shaw, and Kaz. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, I definitely think Big Z is the greatest of all time. He's I mean, because not just looking at World's Strongest Man, but looking at all the other competitions that he would compete everywhere across the board.
Yeah.
But What about you,
Hey, we got-
Sophia?
Yo, Isaac, you got Juan Daniel in your comments. He actually joins my streams a lot, and it seems to know Big Luke. So yeah, Juan Daniel, yes, that is.
Hey,
Big Luke.
there we go. Good to have you, man. Good to see you.
Juan's awesome.
Get out. I literally found his channel today. What a coincidence. Awesome. You got a fan, Luke. You got a couple
Hell
fans,
yeah, Juan.
actually.
Appreciate the support.
Yeah, Luke, Juan's awesome. He's very supportive on both our channels. But yeah, so on that topic, Luke, who's your top 3 strongmen of all time?
I mean, top 3, you got to put Big Z and Shaw up there. I mean, just their accolades, there's no denying it. Big Z, definitely greatest presser of all time. Really didn't have a weakness. Shaw, I would say, is tied with him. If not tied, he's just that close to him on second. And then 3, I would either say Kaz or Magnus. And the reason I would say Magnus is because of how he kind of was so technical and introduced that kind of just the thought behind what went into every lift. And I think that's what made him great. I mean, Kaz definitely could be in that top 3 because, I mean, if you got to be banned for winning so much and being so dominant, I mean, come on, you got to be in the top 3. So, yeah, I would say Big Z, Shaw, and then Madness or Kaz definitely for number 3.
Awesome. And somebody, let's talk about the greatest strong women of all time, whoever would like to.
I mean, I think. Oh, sorry. Go for it, Gabby.
I think 3 is really hard. There's so many, but go ahead, Gabby.
My opinion on them is mostly, I don't know. I feel like there's not, like, I don't know any like classic strong women. I only know the women that are kind of now. My top 3 are probably, I mean, it's difficult because there's 4 names going around. You know, it's Donna Moore, obviously, like, amazing woman. All of these are amazing women. They make my heart so happy. Jessica Fitton, Victoria Long, and Haley Randall. I mean, 4 really strong women. Oh my goodness. The lightweight, God, dude, what's her name? Beck Lorch. Top amazing women. Those are 5 awesome women. They're all super strong. And I spent a really long time with Beck at Clash on the Coast, and she's so down to earth. She's so willing to, like, I asked her a couple of questions, and I followed her on Instagram, and she's so open with the struggles of being, I mean, all women in strength have to be open with what it's like being a woman in a strength sport. Like, there's always a stigma because it's a male-dominated sport. And I just saw him say Lovelace.
Rhiannon Lovelace?
Yeah, she's strong. I feel like I don't know enough about her. Like, I follow her, but I don't know a lot about her. I do know, though, that she changed the log at OSG from the, like, what is it, the 9 or 10 inch to the 12 inch. And that kind of put a hinder on my training because I'm used to the, like, smaller log. So I had to change that 12 inch. That 12 inch is a whole other beast. But that's just because, like, a couple of years ago, she ended up missing, what was it, first place because of the fact that she trained on the 12 inch and OSG, like, is kind of, the hierarchy is British and, you know, whatever. So she's cool, but I don't know enough about her. But anyways, yeah, Beck is amazing. She's amazing. All of them are amazing. They're all really strong, and I love watching them all compete.
So I would say mine are, it's hard. Donna Moore, Andrea Thompson, Becca Swanson. But I mean, it's
Donna-
hard. Like, Like when Jessica Fitton finishes her career, she'll probably be there, you know?
Well, then we also have what's her name? Gabby, the Austrian Oaktress.
Gabby
I forget her
Bergholzer.
last
Yeah.
name.
Yeah, I mean, there's Gabby Bergholzer, there's Nadia Stowers.
Bergholzer, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of big names. Rebecca Lorch, as you mentioned, Camilla Fogagnolo, another incredibly strong
Gabby
lightweight.
Willits too, but
of course.
Yeah. I think definitely Donna Moore. Donna Moore is at least top 2, I think, of all time. Or that we know of, at least. I mean, there's probably in the mountains of Russia or something like that, there's probably some woman who's far stronger than any that we know of. But of the women that we know of, I think Donna Moore definitely is probably at least first or second. I think Jessica Fitton is going to be there soon. She's well on her way. Yeah, but I don't know. With the others, I'm not sure. There's a bunch of them.
Yeah, I mean, I would say you got to throw Haley Randall right around that top 5. I don't know, Sophia, you're kind of new to Strongman, but do you want to weigh in on this at all?
I definitely got to step up on my research game. Apparently, I'm like totally new to this. That I've only heard of like 3 of those, but I'm definitely gonna have to look them up.
All right, you just get on my channel. I've interviewed almost all of them. I've interviewed Jessica Fitton multiple times, Rebecca Lorch, Gabby Bergholzer multiple times. Donna Moore, first of all, Donna Moore was like, I can't believe she said yes to the interview. I was messaging Isaac. I'm like, Donna Moore said I can interview her. Like, this is crazy. And she was the sweetest, most down-to-earth person. We talked about, like, I said, hey, I do strongman events at my house. I do the laundry carry. She's like, me too. Yeah, it was she was super cool. But yeah, I've interviewed them all, Sophia. So if you want to research, just jump on my channel.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't worry if you want to meet any of the big name strong women, go around them, cry, and then they'll hug you and love you forever.
That's how I got Jessica Fitton on my channel. I just started crying. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, she has an interesting story. She used to be an air traffic controller in the Army.
There's a Victoria Long is a person who I feel like is recognized. I think she's a really, really strong woman. And she's kind of been within the strongman community. She's been kind of handed some not great cards. Oh my gosh. So she was trying to qualify for the Arnold, I believe. I feel like I'm pretty sure it was the Arnold, and I'm pretty sure she was trying to qualify through Florida Strongest Man, I believe. And the only reason she couldn't get that Arnold card, even though it was so deserved, is because they didn't have enough competitors in her weight class. And she truly is somebody who deserves way more recognition than she earns, or than she gets. Excuse me, not earns. She earns it tenfold. But yeah, her and Dennis are on top of that, they're just amazing people. Again, they've been there for me. And another mama bear, I mean, both of them are amazing, and she's so strong, and she just has been dealt not a great hand of cards when it comes to strongman. But that's a name I hope becomes bigger later on.
You're muted, John.
Oh, sorry. You didn't hear any of that? I said I've tried to connect with her in the past. I haven't been able to connect with her. I've connected with Dennis before, but Isaac, we should try to get Victoria along on the show for sure.
Yeah, I'm down. Definitely. was gonna say too, because World Strongest Blacksmith commented here about, because we mentioned him making the swords and everything, and he said he had to remove the first part of the series. He's going to be uploading the next parts in video stream. So just in case anyone wants to watch them.
Yeah, he had Isaac. He had the dreaded issue that you and I have had when we try to stream directly on YouTube instead of through StreamYard. That's what happened there. So yeah, it'll be smoother going forward. But look at Juan Daniel's comment about his top 3. I find this very interesting, and I'll tell you why when you put it up there. So Juan, Shaw, Big Z, and Halfthor. Halfthor doesn't get mentioned enough in top 3s. And it's funny that you mentioned him because Isaac knows I did a big piece of research of all the World's Strongest Man winners over the last 20 years. And I did points earned, like total points earned in all the events out of points possible. And Halfthor was, in the last 10 years, I think he was number 1. And in the last 20 years, he's number like 3 or something like that. It's when you look at the actual numbers of what he's achieved, it's everybody knows he's great. It's not that surprising, but it's a little surprising. I didn't know he would be that high up on the list. So it's interesting that you put him at number 3. He does, if you look at the actual math and the actual analytics, he deserves a lot of credit.
I think he just chased a bunch of people away though with his personality. He left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. So people don't. I think a lot of the people just don't care for him as much, but he was a phenomenal strongman competitor.
And now Eddie Hall's trying to leave a sour taste in his mouth.
Yeah, Halfthor was going to be my third, if not for Kaz there. I think if he had stuck his career out, he'd be top 2.
Yeah,
I don't know that he would. I don't know that he would replace. But
yeah, I got to give you credit, Vince, for knowing about Kaz. You know your history, buddy.
Yeah, I was gonna say honestly, the other one for me that never, the one that never won it that could crack my top 10 is Poundstone. He was the other guy I think is worth mentioning. I don't know about. I definitely not top 3, but maybe top 5 or 6 for me. And honestly, like career wise, definitely a lot better than at least a few of them who've won it. So.
Yeah, so Big Laz and I have become somewhat friendly. He's helped me out quite a bit with my content and whatnot. And he always mentions Derek Poundstone as the strongest man to never win World's Strongest Man. It's he mentions that quite a bit. And by the way, if there's anybody in the universe who's not subscribed to Big Laz Official, take the opportunity to go do it right now. The content is out of this world.
Yeah, him and OD Wilson got just cheated. So. I think
that's another one. So when I interviewed Big Laz, I asked him about that. I'm like, should OD Wilson be a one-time World's Strongest Man? He's like, absolutely.
Yeah, that race. Come on, man. That's not. I guess if that was planned for the final, but I don't know. I don't think you would ever see that today. But that's kind of the beauty of the sport. So I don't think that you can really, like, the chips fell where they did. So, but he's. I
thought I heard they changed that event though. I don't know if I'm wrong, but I thought I heard they changed to that event. And
I've heard some people say that they just kind of threw it in at the end, and in that case, I don't know. That ought to be a little bit more controversial than it is. But I guess part of Strongman is maybe being prepared for everything, and that event was definitely not suited for him. So I guess, but in my mind, he was the strongest man that year. So.
Yeah, I mean, I get that there's moving events in Strongman, but if you're running around a whole track, maybe that's a little much.
Yeah, I don't know that I could do that. That was, I mean, he had, what was it, like a refrigerator on his back, and he had to run.
It was bricks. It was a load of bricks.
That's right. A 400-meter race or whatever. I don't know that falls under the umbrella of Strongman for me, but he was undeniably strong. So he's probably at least in my top 15. He never won.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think Strongman ends at like 100 feet. You know, I think that's the furthest a Strongman should have to travel.
That's a good cutoff. We bring in those max distance sandbag carries for nationals, and that is something else, man. Carrying a sandbag for 2 or 3 minutes at a time, that's foreign territory. So
Here's the thing, though. If you're talking about Cory Butler, you have to go farther, because I think she did a Husafeld stone for like 275 feet once or something something crazy.
Yeah.
At Nationals last year, we had to do a Husafeld carry, and I did it for, I think it was 182 feet or something. And by the end, that was awful. By the end of that, I was like, I just kind of want. I also started that off tripping and like laughing while I'm lifting this. What was it, 220-pound Husafeld stone?
I remember.
That was fun, but it was really too long.
We're on like a little slant when we were walking, so the whole time I'm standing, I'm like crossing my feet. And it was like 90 degrees out, but it was really fun looking back on it.
It was tons of fun, but oh my god, dude, me tripping and almost, I was like, I'm gonna lose this event because I am about to drop this with 5 feet.
There was one girl who I remember her picking the stone. She tried to pick the stone like 10 or 12 times, and then when she finally picked the stone, she ended up going like 150 feet with it.
Yeah, she's awesome. I keep in contact with her because I helped her. I helped her pick that, and she was really struggling, and apparently she had like no technique work, and so my dad and I sat there and helped her pick that because she definitely had the strength. It was awesome. She's so cool.
Yeah, so speaking of slants, Vince, you're well prepared to come into the woods and lift with me because the whole woods is on a hill.
Yeah, I would love that.
Speaking of which, we got Juan in the comments here says we have to get John to sign up for a comp. From the looks of it, he's the only one here who has not competed or doesn't have a current comp lined up.
You're right.
John, I gotta say, you can sign up as a lightweight novice and try your luck.
What's the cutoff for lightweight?
What was that?
What's the cutoff for lightweight? Under 82 kilos?
I think so.
Yeah, I could probably make that.
I'd have to look it up because I know some of the contests are a little bit different too. Sorry, everything keeps freezing for me, so conversations are spotty, it looks like right now.
I'm actually going to host my own comp. It's going to be my block strongest man. I'm going to invite the other 9 guys on the block and kick their coolies.
As long as you live stream it. That's all we ask.
I gotta find a way to do that. I probably told you the story, Isaac. I went across the street to the other block and I challenged one of those guys one day, and he's like, "I concede, you win, man."
I should see if the gym down, because in the apartment complex where we live here, I'm sure there's 10, 15 guys who would be willing to do a parking lot strongman competition. Maybe see if the gym down the road would sponsor us, and then we could live stream it and be a bunch of random dudes. I'd win, but I mean, it'd be fun.
Now you're thinking like a businessman. Speaking of, if you haven't liked this stream yet, go ahead and hit like, subscribe to Hunger Smash Fitness. Remember to do those things if you like what you're watching, and I know you like what you're watching.
Speaking of lifting in an apartment complex, I live in a college apartment complex, so I think I could probably gather more than 15 people to come and lift, and it would be hilarious. That could be like its own reality TV show, is untrained college men trying to lift heavy.
Yeah, you could invite John and I to comment on it and do the after show.
Absolutely, y'all are welcome. Hey, it's just gonna be a bunch of really drunk gators,
Nice. Yeah, we can do some good commentary. I actually have something. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it yet, but I have something coming up in February, a show that I'm doing. Supposedly, if the world situation doesn't get any worse, I'm actually flying out to do color commentary, so keep an eye out for that.
Then we have Juan here, says, the competition will be streamed. Nah, it'll come out next Of course.
No, Isaac has higher standards. He doesn't wait till Christmas to give his content out.
No. Not usually. Am I really choppy? Because it like everyone else keeps freezing, so I'm not sure if I'm cutting out. Is it me or is it everyone else?
It's you. It's not everybody else. But it's not that bad.
Well, just Gabby was stuck there scratching her head for like 30 seconds straight, so I wasn't quite sure
Yeah,
what was going on there.
Thinking really hard.
Yeah, there you go. All righty. Well, we can go ahead and start wrapping this up here. Is there anything else big that anyone wanted to talk about? Or John, anything you want to cover?
No, I mean, do any of you have anything else exciting on the horizon in the future after Teen Nationals that you want to talk about and get people excited to follow you on? And in addition to that, tell people how they can follow you best as well.
I'll let Sophie go first. Go ahead and tell them anything you're looking forward to.
Yeah, I think as soon as I finish nationals, I'm gonna go back to powerlifting for a little bit, try and break some more world records. I actually have a few with APA, but I think I'm gonna go back to that before I hit my 16th birthday, and then definitely come back to Strongman because it's gotten me a lot of static strength, and I'm really happy and excited about that. But I think it's gonna be a good show down the road, and I think one of my biggest goals, Vincent, as a coach, he's told me he thinks that I could make it to World's Strongest Woman, and I think that's definitely one of my biggest goals right now. So small steps there, but yeah. But you can follow me on Instagram, #_strong13.
For me, man, I got a ton of stuff I'd like to do. I think nothing specific before I get out of the teenage world. I've been competing men's lately, so I just want to get recovered. And then long term, obviously, I'd like to see myself, at Worlds and competing for a really long time. I think all that's possible, but ultimately for me, it's just about using strength sports as kind of a vessel to reach as many people as I can and just make connections and hopefully just kind of spread kindness and get to know as many people as I can meet. So that's my goal with it. I'd like to open a gym someday. If y'all want to follow me, you can check out my Instagram at StrongmanVince. And I'm looking forward to seeing y'all at Nationals.
Yeah, and thanks, Gabby, for pointing us Vince's way. Gabby actually was a referral for you, Vince.
Yeah. Oh, I said, yeah, I appreciate it too, Gabby. It means a lot. I had a great time coming on, I'm sure.
Yeah, I
Sophie
did
can
too.
say the same.
Thank you for the invite.
Absolutely.
So, Gabby, what are you up to after Nationals?
So let's see. I have a local Highland Games-esque thing that I'm kind of coaching a couple people through, and then November is OSG. We'll see what weight class I'm competing in because right now I'm not on track to be where I need to be. And then after that, I'm really not entirely sure. Strongman, I'm kind of struggling to find competitions near me that I can do. So I think it's just going to be a lot more Olympic lifting after that. I'm still going to compete in Strongman, absolutely, but and yeah, like Vince said, I'm in the sport to spread positivity and awareness because it's a growing sport continually, and I think that there's a spot for women, but they need to feel welcomed and supported. And I'm a huge advocate for that because I don't know, I love seeing communities come together. So, yeah. If y'all want to follow me, it's Wicked Strong Willets. One long word. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we're together on that one. I've actually tried to bring a lot more support to the females in the community since I started my channel, and which I think is evident by the interviews that I've done. I think they don't get enough notoriety, and they should feel kind of more welcomed and get the attention they deserve. And on that note of being welcoming, Gabby, I'm going to personally invite you to the contest that I'm doing color commentary at. So if you're looking for something in February, would you go to South Carolina?
Absolutely. That is not far away. I would totally drive up to South Carolina.
So Juan Daniel in the comments thinks he has me figured out with Cupid's Clash. It is not. And in fact, like, I know the state rep who's putting on the contest. He's a good friend of mine, and he's been putting it all over his Instagram. So I don't think there's a need for me to keep it a secret. It's South Carolina's Strongest Man and Woman, February 8th. So I'll be there live. I'll get to meet you live.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely.
And we got Luke. What do you have on the horizon, Luke, after Nationals?
Well, depending on the whole thing, how the knee turns out, if it turns out I can't compete, it'll be the next Mammoth in, I think, January, and then hopefully I can qualify for Nationals then, and then get the title for heavyweight division next year, and then from there just go about as far as I can. But way to follow me. Instagram is Strongman Luke Brown. And then I also have a YouTube channel. It's just Big Luke. And so, yeah.
Yeah, and special thanks to you, Luke, because this whole discussion was kind of your idea. You came to us and said, hey, let's talk about Team Nationals. It's coming up, and it'd be a great discussion to have, and it has turned out to be that way. So special thanks to you for reaching out and making this all happen. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So one other thing I was wondering, Isaac, I know you want to wrap it up, but I don't know if any of you follow JT Sowards at all on Facebook. Have any of you done a weird lift before? Because we had him on and I tried one while one of his lifts while we were on the air, and I succeeded, not at the weight he does it, but I succeeded. I did a one plate in my mouth, like with a shirt. So have you ever done anything weird, any of you?
Yeah, I've done all sorts of stuff. I did a lot of classical, like old strongman feats, like rolling up frying pans and stuff like that, and like ripping decks of cards. And I've pressed a couple people over my head. So I tend to have a lot of fun with that stuff. I think
that's awesome.
Being able to like use the strength you've built for me, it's kind of cool.
That's my party trick, is to throw somebody on my back and back squat them. Like my boyfriend and his little brother are 6'3" and 6'1", and I'll put them on my backs and just start back squatting them in their living room.
Nice. How about you, Luke? Any weird lifts?
It was before I met JT at the Mammoth, October 2019. I tried doing a Steinborn squat that failed horribly. So it was 315, and I did like 135, 225, 275, and then I went up to 315. And when I went for it, I thought, well, if I fail, it'll just dump off my back. Didn't do that. It went the opposite. So I went face first and hit my face on the ground, and then my head bounced. And when I bounced up, the bar came down and hit me in the head, and wound up getting a concussion from it. So it was, yeah, I haven't tried it since, but.
Damn, that's crazy. I tried to Steinborn that big log that you see in some of my Instagram posts, and I just end up dumping it before it hits me in the face like that.
Yeah. I wish I would have done that.
I'll get it eventually. I know that log ain't going to lose any weight for me, but I'll get stronger and I'll get it.
All right.
So what do you say, Isaac? You want to wrap it up for the evening? Send us home?
Yeah, we can go on. Yeah, it's been frozen for the last minute or so. So I was like, I'm not sure if they're done talking or should I just what I should do. But yeah, we can go ahead and wrap it up now. Yeah, thanks everyone for coming and joining the live stream. Thanks to all of our viewers for watching. We have one final comment that we should mention in here. Let's see. This one. Juan says, Big Luke, are you a college student as well? On your last video, the sun almost completely down by the time you finished your workout. Just figure you have a lot of time on your hands. So are you in college?
Not yet. I start in January. I graduated high school in May. So I haven't started yet. But yeah, I work at the gym I train at, I actually work at. And then I'm a student pastor at a local church here. So I have a lot of time on hand.
Nice. There you go. And then, John, I was going to say, you should go compete in Tyler's contest. He says that he's been told that he got the novices too light. So
I'm gonna just focus on Tyler's other comment that he said he's getting ready for a South Carolina Strongest Man, and just say, Tyler, we'll hang out when I see you there.
There you go. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks again, everybody. Yeah, thanks for joining us. And just remember to always improve that 1%.